Morning, everybody. Hope you guys doing well. Today we're looking at NASDAQ as usual. I was on vacation from Monday through Thursday, so that's why there was no streams. And to be honest, the price action was not even that good anyways. I was expecting a consolidation reversal profile, which I'll get into later on to the stream. But if you didn't read the daily bias chat, I'm looking for higher prices. I was looking for this inefficiency on the hourly to be used as a retracement down up into the gap first and then back up to the buy side. We do have SMT between the hourly highs here, so I'm favoring just to run above this high first, just because this is technically protected on ES. But we'll have to see how we want to close relative to this. And obviously, I do think that if this is a true consolidation reversal profile with Thursday creating the low of the week, then we are likely to run out the current week high, which would be all the way up here. And you can see the relative equal highs position there as well. So right now, we're not using that gap. Instead, we're using this inefficiency down here, which is a short-term gap in discount, which I did not see actually pre-market. I'm going to mark that out and see how the candles close relative to that. And that's being used because the dealing range here is this. So keep that in mind. But as we watch the rest of the session, we do have 10 a.m. news. It's labeled as orange folder, but if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the U of M consumer confidence one, which is notoriously high volatility. Let me double check. Yeah, we have revised U of M consumer sentiment. I don't know if that's the real one or I think there's two U of M ones, but that might be the one that just was recently labeled as, orange folder. Or was that prelim? Okay, I'm not too confident in it. But anyways, just be mindful there's orange folder news, or there's news at 10 a.m. I'll just label this as orange just in case. But yeah, basically looking for a classic London protraction profile with dip down into that gap first, and then expansion up into that bias of liquidity I had marked out. But the reason I was looking for a consolidation reversal profile for the week, or even just a consolidation profile on the entire weekly basis, is given the fact that we had multiple weeks of large expansion, and also we tagged a higher time frame PD array. So we have, anytime we have a large expansion on the weekly, you typically always want to assume the next day or the next week is going to be consolidation, right? Anytime you have a large expansion on the daily, large expansion on the weekly, that's typically what you see. It's just kind of a consolidation week. Doesn't mean it's going to be tiny ranges like this. It could be a kind of an indecisive large candle, but you got to be mindful of that. So after I see this large expansion here on Monday, on February 10th, as we expand up and take out a swing high, that's an important bias liquidity pool on a higher time frame like the weekly. That to me already, the next week, depending on the news profile, already I'm starting to look for consolidation profiles in the next week. Same thing with the daily profile, right? You go to the daily profile, look at how many times are we tagging a higher time frame key level after a large expansion day. We then expect like a consolidation profile on the next day. That's a lot of times what you see. It's not all the time guaranteed, especially if that higher time frame PD area hasn't been tagged all the way, but that's kind of what you're looking for. So I'm anticipating that through our first presentation, we don't have first presentation yet, but this gap should be used as inversion. Same thing with this gap, same thing with this gap. I'm looking more at the 5-minute order flow. So as long as the 5-minute order flow is doing what it should be from an hourly perspective, then I don't care if we overshoot a little bit here on the 1 minute. It's not too big of a deal. Dealing range I'm currently looking at was the hourly bullish dealing range between here and here. Swing low, ran out this sell side to most recent swing high. So that's a bullish dealing range. So obviously reacting off of the sibi there. Now to me, the London low should be protected. So any attempt to get down there, run that out, unless there's some major SMT going on. I mean, we shouldn't even really be dipping this far, to be honest. I would have liked if we just used the upper portion of that hourly gap I had originally marked out and use that, the higher gap, this one up here. But since we're trading all the way through that and now we're trading through the bullish order block, to me, it's not as nice as I would like to see. in terms of a actual true reversal consolidation reversal profile for the weekly, and on the daily perspective, classic London protraction. It could move to seek and destroy. The qualifications are there in terms of time perspective, right? Low of the day being put in, yeah, during London, high of the day being put in during New York Open, and then consolidation during New York session, but I wouldn't expect it. There's one last dip below minute opening price. To me, it looks like London low is going to go from here. You may just be filling out all the entire RTH gap. Oh, we already overshot the RTH gap. Then I don't really know what we would be going down here for in terms of inefficiencies. Unless there's SMT, like I said. Let's see. Not really. It looks bearish to me. Sound all good? Give you 2 thumbs up. Sweet. Thank you, thank you. Why did my... There we go. Do a tiny mitigation block there with the inefficiency. But I mean, technically we do have till 10 a.m. to form that low of the session. It's just the fact that we're dipping all the way down. To me, it doesn't make any sense logically as to why we need to do this, right? If it's a true bullish profile and we have SMT at London, we have London trading into a higher time frame PD ray, we have a shift away from it with an inefficiency forming like this or like this. That's all the qualifications that's needed for a London low of day. All right, if we mark out the minute opening price here and we look at London low of day, if I can mark it out, there we go. Drops down, takes out ERL, shifts away over a short-term high and a gap. Tags into the gap, respects it, forms another gap. That's all bullish order flow and bullish, to me, what looks like bullish higher time frame, like narrative, right? Narrative bias, and then the draw on liquidity pointing to higher prices. Right now, we're just wicking into this. I expect that to actually run out and probably go for the London low. But like I said, like best case scenario, this is protected. So the fact that we're dipping this far and aggressively, look how it's not just a retracement leg, right? You should know the difference visually between what a retracement leg looks like and a reversal leg. There's your London low tagged, unfortunately. Retracements will have kind of sloppy PA where it's high resistance. You want high resistance PA going away like in a retracement. Maybe is it Discord app? Let me disconnect quietly and rejoin and see if it works. All right, tell me if the audio keeps cutting in and out. Maybe I'll reduce the stream quality, see if that works. Let me mark our first presentation gap. There's an H4 bisi there. Let me mark this out and do some analysis on it. See, like this is all efficiently filled. All of this is efficiently filled. I don't know why there's any reason as to why we need to sell off this hard. So if we do not react off of this London low, I'm going to just close it out. Close out the charts. Right, there's only two functions of price, either to seek liquidity or seek an inefficiency. All of this is a balanced price range, right? Like there's a large gap here. Sure, we do trade into that. But look how all of this is buying and selling. There's not an unfilled gap anywhere in here on the 15. Even on the hourly, there's nothing there. It's all wicks. There's this tiny gap here. When you mark this out and you drop down to a lower time frame, that is efficiently filled, right? Trades down into it with buying and selling, and then it leaves it. That's a balanced price range. So there should be no reason as to why we return back into that. Same thing with the 4-hour gap and anything between the 4-hour and the 15, which are all of my higher time frame charts. There's no reason as to why we should dip that low. So if we don't get a reaction off this, a 5-minute SysD or some sort of strong reaction, closure through here, I'm no longer interested. By that logic, wouldn't yesterday's PM session be the retracement leg? Quite high resistance. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. That's what I was watching. So that's why going into today, I couldn't tell if we were going to be bearish or bullish. This being a very efficient delivery back up, to me, yeah, it looks like it's a retracement leg. You're also going to get the same characteristic when you are, you've got to rebalance a gap like this. So to me, it could have been, oh, we're going to sell off into that low again. But then once I saw the, we sweep that low, we shift, we hold now the bullish order block with the gap on the hourly, shift again, we have displacement, right? Displacement is key. When I see that to me, it's not as clear that we're now going to just sell off quickly. I mean, I guess one could argue, you could look at this as here's a completed market maker buy model. And this is the second stage of distribution right here. That's why it's energetic up to that buy side. And then we sell off aggressively, and then you got to watch to see how this is used as a potential breaker in price. So if we don't get a closure through this, then I'd be bearish. So this would be a potential breaker. Actually, I'm going to mark that out. So like I said, I'm still looking for higher prices. And that might just be the weird PA we've been getting all week. But I actually want price to trade through this breaker. Let me screenshot this. I'll put it in predictions chat. So expecting this bearish breaker to be traded through aggressively. If we do not see that, and to me it's also hard because if I were to flip bias, I don't know what I'm targeting. We already ran a London low. Am I going to go and target this next? I mean, probably have session-based liquidity. PM session low, I guess, would be available, but like on a weekly perspective and a daily perspective, it just makes not a whole lot of sense. And we did run out previous day high here. So it is an important key level there. Should have probably seen that. A little rusty coming off of the break, but there's your, I want this to be used as inversion as well. So now watch how we react to the breaker and this bearish order block here. There's an up closing candle right here. So I want both of those. They're going to be quite strong, right? If we were in a bearish market. Stacked order block with an inefficiency, first presentation, and the breaker. And now we have that hourly gap here outlined in gray. All of which should be really, really strong if we want to come into that. If we even close above 50%, to me, that's a good sign. So I'll mark out breaker 50%. And this is why you can't pattern price, right? Because sometimes you'll see these patterns in price, like a breaker with a gap or something similar. And your immediate reaction will be to, oh, this is what you can kind of have a built-in narrative, which is true in some sense, but you can't pattern things like profiles. You can't pattern things like entry patterns because every single time they show up doesn't mean it's always an entry. Sometimes it is an entry. Sometimes you're going to stay still. Other times you're going to completely just trade through that PD array and expect it to be used as inversion, right? There's different times and different scenarios where each PD array is going to hold different ways. And the only reason that you know whether it's going to do this or this is because of your bias, right? That's the only reason. And if you constantly go into price action and then look for, oh, I think it looks like this, and then you kind of work backwards of, okay, I think it looks like this. Let me go in and see if I can find a bunch of stuff that confirms my bias. You're always going to find stuff that confirms your bias, right? There's always data on both sides of the market that supports a bias in both directions. That's great. That's why whether your bias is right or wrong, actually, when you're learning, doesn't matter a whole lot. And I know that's probably confusing for most, but what you should focus on is the process you're taking to get your bias logical? You have to detach yourself from the outcome of winning and losing. That also means detach yourself from the outcome of being right or wrong. So if you have a prediction, if you have a daily bias, you put up, mentally, or you post somewhere, you have to be completely detached to that. Whatever happens after that, and accept you're wrong, first of all. And it also hurts your ego a little bit just to have a bias and it be wrong. But data is data at the end of the day. You're not here to be right or wrong. You're here to make money. So you can be wrong and still make money, and you can be right and still lose money. That's just part of the game, and it's a confusing game to play. And that's why you can only really base your confidence and base your really your trading confidence and executions on things that you can control. What can you control? The process that you take to get and arrive at your bias. You can't control all the time whether you missed a tiny inefficiency or a tiny volume balance or this or that would have led to, here's a bias that's this way instead of this way. You're going to miss stuff, and that's fine. It's more about, is the process you're taking logical to arrive at that step? So look out, we're trading into that bearish order block I told you about, this one right here. I'm reacting off of it aggressively, like with displacement. Drop to like 15-second chart, and you got the market structure shift there. So like I said, we gotta have some sort of clean movement through the breaker. But I mean, to me, it's giving me everything I need for a bearish bias. If I was bearish, I'd be loving this right now. All right, after that, yeah. That to me probably seals the deal. Yep. So, I mean, listen, yeah. I mean, I'm not really interested anymore. The fact that we shouldn't even be taking out that low. So PM session low, I guess, would be short-term target. Here's your macro time as well. Yep, no SMT at the lows either. Five-minute closure. Yeah, we're cooked. So I'm probably just turn it off. I don't want to be. I mean, you could be shorting into London or PM session low. Probably not a bad idea. Everything's lining up for the most part as to a bearish bias, but you got to be still careful of this 10 a.m. news. I mean, yesterday bias was pretty clean. Got a nice 930 total soup down into the sell side post 10 a.m. as was called for. If you did not see that, go into predictions chat and you can follow along and screenshot that if you'd like to. Trying to decide whether I want to tape read this anymore. Yeah, look at ES is just on off there. Quite unfortunate. Yeah, man, this PA, I apologize for this PA. Just not the best. Typically after second week of February, it's pretty solid. And that's what I'm anticipating. So this week actually was supposed to be pretty good. But you got to look at the, just because time of day or time of year isn't an end all be all. So in this case, you have a higher time frame weekly perspective. We already ran out higher time frame array. So we're going to get a consolidation profile that way. And then if you saw the news profile this week, it was just a whole lot of nothing. Right? We had what? FOMC minutes. We had a bank holiday this week. We had Trump speaking on Tuesday with no news. Yesterday we had 8:30 news, and that was actually the day that I was looking for, and we got a decent move out of that. But then even look at the rest of the day, like we got the nice energetic move of the first, the opening range, and then boom, we just retraded back into the entire thing the rest of the PM session and the lunch. So there's not much you can do out of that. So I'd expect, given we're still bearish and there's nothing on the 15 or 5 that to me indicates we want to flip order flow, nor is there SMT, I would be bearish until PM session low. I'm going to type that up in predictions. So bias seems to clearly be wrong. And to me, this would just be like a scalp. So I'm not going to sit here and, if we do want to reverse off this, or if the news comes out and drops lower, then we move back up. I wanted an immediate reaction. So obviously there's going to be times it's the very fine line between variance and being wrong. And it's a hard skill to learn. But when you come into a bias, or when you come into a day and you have a bias, say your bias is bullish, you think, okay, I'm expecting the session to be an open, low, high, close. Sometimes you don't know how far that low is going to be, or you don't know how far that high is going to be if you're bearish. So the manipulation, a lot of times, you should not try and estimate where the manipulation is going to end. You should instead use the x-axis to determine that. So if I use a combination of both the x-axis and price to determine when is that manipulation ended, right? So if we see it could have dipped down into the hourly gap that I saw and right at 9:30, so a key time, and then it shifts away, so we have a price confirmation, then to me that's the end of the manipulation, right? You want to see both. Is it set in during the right time, and do we have SMT, SISD, etc. At this point, we have displacement all through here, reaction off of bearish PD arrays. Time of day, we only have about 4 minutes left until I would kind of see the last opportunity for that low to be put in the session. We're already violating multiple higher time frame PD arrays. We got the large 15-minute gaps. We got the London low being purged. We've got absolutely no reason to be digging down here besides the fact that probably the PM session low is going to go. So that becomes the new draw on liquidity. So you could see the news potentially just spike us all the way down there. And you can see the macro entry. There's not really a clean macro entry in here on the 1 minute. 15 second, there's a gap that's being utilized, but I don't like to use that for teaching purposes because I think it's a little bit too much information. Obviously, you do have this unfilled gap. You'd expect that to be slightly unfilled. So I guess we'll just watch till the news comes out, end of the macro time, and then we'll wrap it up. Like, and at the same time, I don't know why it's slowing down here. Like, there's no gaps, nothing. We got this gap here on the 15, but that's basically efficiently filled. So I don't know why it's slowing down here. On the 1 minute, is there a gap? Yeah, there's nothing here, right? It's all balanced, except below here. We haven't even tagged into that yet. Yeah. Can we do a backtesting session about how to use the data that you collect, as in how to make sense of the notes you take and what to do with all the information? Yeah, for sure. Possibly do that tomorrow. Nah. Nah. There's nothing in here. All right, we got here the news in 1 minute. Maybe the most entertaining thing we've gotten all week. I mean, these kind of markets will really test your patience. So, you got to kind of flip game modes, right? We can't really be capturing whole range days like we normally were trying to do in the fall and in the winter. You still can do that occasionally, like yesterday was a good example, but they're only maybe one of those days per week. You're always going to have at least one good move per week. It's kind of like a guarantee to you. Maybe two if you're lucky in these kind of rough profiles. I'm telling you, when spring comes, it'll be like 3 to 4 days. You get these large range moves that you can time. But in the meantime, your focus should be on scalping. I mean, it could be on capturing those large range days, but scalping is going to be typically what works best in these kind of environments. There's your news coming out. A little too quick for the data actually to be delivered. See, I don't think this is, I think this is mislabeled. This is not orange folder. This to me is, like I said, I think this is red folder. I don't know why they changed it. Even on the, like the macro, like what gap are we trading into? There's nothing in here. No macro entry. And like I said, if this is the low of the session and then we want to come all the way back up, I could care less. To me, it's too late for that. I'm not going to trade in that direction. We'll just see it run out the PM session low and then wrap us up. Guess I could take a 15-second scalp down there if it's offered to me. It's going to give it to me. There's one tap. Nope. Nope. Still nothing. Mid? Yeah, the same mid. Just absolute piss poor. Like I genuinely don't know how you're supposed to trade this. Unless you're looking for shorts, but not even an entry above here. Giving it. Nor 830. And I don't think this 930 short is obvious. Reason being, we have no 830 news, no manipulation above into a higher time frame PD rate, unless you're looking at this previous day high as the sweep. But then what entry do you have after that? There's no, I mean, I guess you could say that's a shift, but there's no displacement. You have a gap that's retraded into, but it wasn't even a shift by the time that closed, nor did we retag it. So nothing in there. And then first presentation gap, If you're looking for bearish price action, I guess that'd be valid, but it's not in macro time. Up in here, you got the sibi, but it's not even a breaker yet, right? Yeah, no breaker yet, nor is it retracing to premium. I don't think any of these are valid entry points, to be honest. I might just sound like I'm saying that, but unless someone's using like a more advanced entry technique, I don't think, in terms of like a easy perspective, there's nothing easy out of that. Yeah, this week has been really boring. I agree. That's why I just chose to sit out. I'm looking if there's a scalp here on the 5 second down to that PM session low, but it's not giving me what I want. It's just consolidating now. To me, it looks high resistance. We're going to run up to like this high or something. I don't know why we keep retracing. It's like deep retracement down to the gap. Comes up, deep retrace. Comes up, deep retrace. I mean, it's just a consolidation profile at this point. Unless we're going to come up during the end of the macro time and run into that gap in premium. Oh, actually, I did miss this. This is a gap. So we actually did have a macro entry. I apologize. Quite difficult if you didn't include the VI, though. There we go. Immediate rebalance. Can it break this swing low now? Nice. I'd be tempted to go short here. There's no sibis though. I need a sibi. If we don't get it, then I guess it is what it is. Let me mark out this sell side. I don't know if it's kind of hard to see with the. Or I'll just change the. Sorry if I flash bang you. There we go. It's a little bit easier to see now. It's a PM session low down there. My eyes. Oh, here we go. If we could ever trace into here, actually, we'll consider going short. And it's not going to give it to me, is it? Could also use that. Now I'll take my low risk. Another scalp entry right there. This PM session low is target, by the way. And I don't think I'm going to get filled. Yep, I'm not. I mean, what do you expect? I'm on a 5 second chart. We're still not getting filled on best case entries. It is just consolidating. Yep. "15-second gap," I think. Yeah, got one there. We'll just do one and see. If it wants to consolidate, it'll consolidate. But entry basically in premium with the breaker, or whatever you want to call this, mitigation, and efficiency on the 5-minute and the 15-second. Stop at basically at a swing high. I guess I'll put it up at the swing high. And it looks like when it stopped out. There you go. So terrible PA, but got one in just for the demo. But 5-second entry, still getting cooked. So that's my cue to step away. Nothing in there that I don't think you want to trade, right? Shows willingness to move, retrades back into premium during macro time, and it still has no willingness to get down into that sell side. So that'll wrap it up for me today. I mean, if you want to tape read this, you can, but I don't think there's anything in here that is willing your mental. There's nothing in here that really your mental capital is worth. You're not going to miss anything if it goes up to the buy side. So be it. It's not like you can't really go back into this, be like, oh, here's a long entry. So remember this thought process you have right now of it being difficult and of it being there's no entry. So then later on when you come to the charts and you look at it, don't be like, oh, I could have missed this, because you know how you feel right now is that you can't find an entry and this is hard PA. So that's how you should take that knowledge going into your hindsight viewpoint of it. Okay. So I'm not going to waste any more mental capital on this. I think this day is kind of a wash day. Probably will enter, seek, and destroy, or it could move. I don't really care less. So tomorrow or next week, let me look at the economic calendar for next week and I'll give you a game plan. Monday, actually, we could have a stream. We got Tuesday red folder, but it's 10 a.m. And depending on where the day closes, we might have a stream on Monday. Tuesday, we've got 10 a.m. Wednesday, no stream. Thursday, we'll have a stream. Friday, we'll have a stream. So actually, we could have 4 streams next week. 3 or 4 streams. So anyways, be on the lookout for that. I'll let you guys know as we get closer to it. And then we'll probably have that backtesting stream tomorrow at some point, and I'll let you guys know. So take care of the rest of the day. I know I got a bunch of DMs I got to respond to from the week, but if I did not, shoot me another DM and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So take care, and I will see you guys soon. Peace.